How you feeling, man? Was it week 9?
Week 9.
Is this the midway point?
Technically, 18 weeks this year. I think 17 games, including everybody's bye week.
What a great week, man. More W's on top of W's. Said I couldn't get it done. They've been bashing me in the comments. But look at you, man. Superstar Jones. Stacking those W's on top of one another.
One of my guys, man, he DM'd me, hit me up, man. I had a couple down weeks, and he's in my inbox and telling me, how he knows this and knows that. And, proceeded to send me his picks, you know what I'm saying? And, at the conclusion of the Monday night game, I reviewed those picks, and I realized that he was 6-7. He had a losing record, something that I have not managed to do since I've been recording the Superstar Selections. And I simply responded with, I can't remember how I framed it exactly, but the gist of it was, it ain't as easy as it looks. Week, man. I woke up, I pissed excellence the whole week. My picks reflected that, There's work put behind this, man. Right now, I got a game playing in the background on my laptop. If you don't believe me, there it is.
Man, how are you such a winner? What's your secret? Can't wait for week 9.
Week number 9, I'm feeling fine, man. I got me 10 W's last week. That's right, 10 W's. So we can officially say your boy is back on track, man. Game number 1 on the slate. We got the Atlanta Falcons versus the New Orleans Saints. Now, last week, New Orleans put on the show in the Superdome versus Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jameis Winston got it started and unfortunately left the game with a torn ACL, but the team rallied around him, Sean Payton, and got the W. Atlanta, I told you, be careful predicting against that Carolina Panthers defense. They showed up, showed out, and Stephon Gilmore locked up Kyle Pitts, and they got the W. This week, these two teams face off against one another, and although Jameis is out and Taysom Hill is supposed to be back in the mix, I think the Saints will get another W back-to-back. Game number 2 on the slate, we got the Buffalo Bills versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, last week, Jacksonville only managed to score 7 points against the Geno Smith-led Seattle Seahawks. And this week, they have the Buffalo Bills. I expect a big game from Josh Allen, a touchdown from Stephon Diggs, and a big-time W for the Buffalo Bills. Game number 3 on the slate, we got the Denver Broncos versus the Dallas Cowboys. Now, last week, Cooper Rush stepped in, got them a W versus the Minnesota Vikings. However, this week, Dak is supposed to be back healthy, and I predict a big-time win. Although I am a fan of Denver's defense, they recently traded Von Miller to the LA Rams, so they'll be missing some of their firepower. Look out for a big offensive game for the Cowboys and a lot of points on the scoreboard. Game number 4 on the slate, we got the Cleveland Browns versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, if you've been paying attention, then you know that Odell Beckham Jr. is on his way out of Cleveland, and the front office has doubled down in support of Baker Mayfield. On the other side of the matchup, we have the Cincinnati Bengals, who have to have a bounce-back game after getting upset by the New York Jets. They lost by a field goal, and I think they'll use this week to get back on track and ultimately win this game. Game number 5 on the slate, we got the Houston Texans versus the Miami Dolphins. Now, these two teams have a combined record of 2 wins and 14 losses. However, for the Houston Texans, help is on the way. Tyrod Taylor has been practicing for a week and will be back on the field. And if you go back to the first 2 games of the season, Houston's offense looked really explosive with him at the helm. On the other side of the matchup, we have the Miami Dolphins, who are competing and playing some good ball defensively, but they just can't lock up W's. I have to make a decision, so I'm going to pick Tyrod Taylor to show up, show out, and lead the Texans to a W over the Miami Dolphins. Game number 6 on the slate, we got the Las Vegas Raiders versus the New York Giants. Now, the Raiders are dealing with one of the wildest off the field incidents in sports history with Henry Ruggs. However, if you looked at Derek Carr and you watched the words he spoke about, not only Ruggs, but also the victim, then you know that his leadership will be the foundation that they use and lean on for success on the field. On the other side of the matchup, you have the New York Giants coming off of a 3-point loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Giants are competing and have done well recently, but they cannot consistently get W's. In this matchup versus one another, I got to put my chips on Derek Carr to have a big game and for the Raiders to score a lot of points. Game number 7 on the slate, we got the Minnesota Vikings versus the Baltimore Ravens. Now, last week, Baltimore had a bye week, but the week before, they got pummeled by the Cincinnati Bengals, beating them 41-7 in a game that I'm still trying to process. On the other side of the matchup, Minnesota lost to a Dallas Cowboys team not led by Dak Prescott, but led by Cooper Rush. I think this week when these two teams square off against one another, Lamar and the Baltimore Ravens will look at it as a chance and an opportunity to bounce back, and they'll get the W. Game number 8 on the slate, we got the New England Patriots versus the Carolina Panthers. Now, last week, New England got a big-time W against a team that I've been very high on in the Los Angeles Chargers. Each week, their team is getting better, and I can see the development with Mac Jones. On the other side of the matchup, the Carolina Panthers got the upset over the Falcons because of their stout defense. When these two teams meet up against one another, I think that Bill Belichick will have a defensive game plan that exposes Sam Darnold even more. And I'm looking for the Patriots to get another win. Put your chips on the mat. Game number 9 on the slate, we got the LA Chargers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, the Chargers is a team that I've been extremely high on all season. However, in their last 2 games, they have 2 losses. Not only that, they had a week to prepare for New England, and they still couldn't get the job done. On the other side of the matchup, we have the Eagles, who just ran up the score on the Detroit Lions and really established their run game. They put up 44 NFL points and ran off with the game. I think when these two teams face off this week, the Chargers will get back on track and get a slight W over the Eagles. Game number 10 on the slate, we got the Arizona Cardinals versus the San Francisco 49ers. Now, last time these two teams played, it was a great game. Low scoring, a lot of defense, and contained offenses. However, in this matchup, it's a lot of things going bad for the Cardinals and a lot of positives going for San Fran. The Cardinals may not have Kyler Murray. They may not have DeAndre Hopkins. And the team overall tends to be a little banged up and just are coming off of a disappointing loss to Green Bay prime time. On the other side of the matchup, San Francisco just had a big-time W versus Chicago Bears. Jimmy G scored multiple rushing touchdowns, and they get George Kittle back. Now, Vegas has the San Francisco 49ers favored by 2 points at home. And although I understand what they're trying to get at, I think the game will be a little more decisive if Kyler Murray doesn't play. So with that being said, I'm putting my chips on the San Francisco 49ers. Game number 11 on the slate, we got the Green Bay Packers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, Green Bay will be without Aaron Rodgers, but they will get Devontae Adams back. He tested positive for COVID and will miss this game, and who knows how long because news has spread that he's unvaccinated. Now, Jordan Love will be starting, and I don't think that will be a major blemish to the Green Bay attack. On the other side of the matchup, Kansas City got a W versus the Giants, but we know that they're struggling defensively. This game will be a really competitive game, and Vegas has the Kansas City Chiefs favored by 6 points. However, I think Jordan Love stepping in as a first-round pick will do just enough against that Kansas City offense to get the W. Look for Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones to have big games this week. Game number 12 on the slate, we got the Tennessee Titans versus the LA Rams. Now, last week, Tennessee had a good overtime victory versus the Indianapolis Colts, thanks to a 1-yard pick six by Carson Wentz. On the other side of the matchup, the LA Rams went down to Houston with their aerial attack and put on the show. These two teams face off against one another, and contrary to popular belief, I don't hate the Tennessee Titans. So therefore, this week, I'm picking the LA Rams to win by a lot of points. Get well, Derrick Henry. Game number 13 on the slate. I got the Chicago Bears facing off versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, last week, Chicago lost to the San Francisco 49ers, but you saw flashes of what Justin Fields' athleticism can do to a good scheme. I think that with the fans calling for Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace's job consistently, it's affecting the locker room, and it's time for new leadership. On the other side of the matchup, we have Big Ben and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who keep putting up great defensive games, just enough offense to get it done. These two teams square off against one another, and I have to make a decision. So therefore, on Monday night, I think Coughlin and Big Ben get it done.